Antinatalism is the belief that having children is inherently immoral and wrong, and I think that's absolute bullshit. Before we start, I'm gonna make it clear, this video isn't about people who just don't want kids due to personal preference or because they don't have enough time or money, etc. That's fine. This video isn't about them. This is about the people who literally think it's immoral to have children, not just personally don't want them. So their main argument is that, oh, no one chooses to be born, so you're doing it against their will. The problem is that if someone was never born, then what if they did want to be born? Then they can't change their decision. But if someone was born but then they changed their mind, they can just commit suicide. Using your own beliefs, antinatalism would be immoral since you give babies less choice by not birthing them than by letting them live and letting them come to the conclusion to kill themselves naturally if they choose, then not giving them any choice to live or die. Another main argument is, oh, the world sucks, so you're birthing a child into a shitty world. Well, the problem is that most situations, I think humans would rather live than die. Even if life sucks, most of the time it's still better than being dead. And another point from earlier is that you're not giving the baby the choice. If they live in this shitty world, but they could still commit suicide if they don't like it. But if you take away that choice, then what if they want to live? This exact mindset could be used for genocide, by the way. Like, imagine if all the Jews in Auschwitz just said, well, life here sucks, let's not have any kids, and then the Nazis just killed them all. Then the Nazis would have achieved their goal if Jews didn't reproduce to match the death counts of adult Jews. Same with Palestinians now. Imagine if they just followed your anti-natalist mindset and never birthed any new kids to replace the dead people who got genocide. Then the bad guys would have achieved their goals by now, and entire civilizations and cultures and languages would be extinct now. And Native Americans unfortunately did just become hopeless and stopped reproducing kids, and stopped teaching their kids their native language, and now they're only 1% of the US population. Genociders want their victims to be anti-natalist so that they could achieve their goals of having empty land full of resources for themselves to keep. It is kind of funny how anti-natalist and feminist and communist types always accidentally parrot Nazi or Zionist talking points, almost as if politics is a very certain shape that communists hate when you bring up, and make constant 40-minute documentaries about why that shape theory is wrong, actually. Another argument is the environmental one. Basically, humans pollute the earth. This is dumb because we can solve environmental issues without killing ourselves, like using glass and metal instead of plastic, and using nuclear to produce clean electricity, and then having electric-powered trains for most things, maybe having electric or hydrogen-powered cars, maybe hydrogen for airplanes. Boats can just have their own nuclear reactor inside to produce electricity directly without batteries. And we can use thorium instead of uranium to make nuclear safer, since it's super hard to get thorium to explode on its own, from my knowledge. I'm not a chemist, so if you're a chemist, you can correct me if I'm wrong. This is not chemistry advice, don't sue me. Also, another thing is, what's the point of having a clean earth if no one gets to enjoy it? It's like if I bought a Ferrari, but requested it to be only shipped to my house after I die, and I leave it out of my will so none of my family or friends get to use it either. It doesn't make sense to have something if you refuse to use it, or have your loved ones use it either. One more point is that a lot of people argue against antinatalism from a religious perspective, which is good, but even if you are an atheist, you should still be against antinatalism, because if you don't believe there's a God that gives life meaning, then the only other thing that gives life meaning naturally is evolution and continuing the species with more efficient genes and traits to live in a specific climate and reproducing as much cells as possible. And antinatalists want to block that mechanism from happening, since humans can't evolve if there's no more births. So you should be against antinatalism even if you're an atheist, since evolution is the only naturally occurring thing that gives humanity meaning, and antinatalists want to destroy that mechanism. That's all I have to say. Antinatalism is just a giant LARP people do because they hate seeing other people have happy families while they don't have anyone who loves them. So they just do this giant LARP to justify it.